coaching industry is dominated by some very popular advice that people see and hear all the time, and therefore think that it's the best way to do things. Now, from my experience of being in this now for almost 5 years, making $2 million in my coaching business, having done it in multiple different ways, I've seen both sides of the popular advice. And in this video, I want to break down 5 what I believe are some of the most popular pieces of advice that are given in the coaching industry, and give you my 5 alternative pieces of advice that you can take and then decide which way you want to do it when it comes to scaling your coaching business to your first million, to your next million, again, in a way that prioritizes not just income, but profit, fulfillment, freedom, and impact ultimately in helping people. And so to kick this off with number 1, a popular piece of advice is that you must use either sales calls, or you must use, like a sales page that has 20,000 words, like a dissertation from university, a very long sales page. Now, when it comes to selling your coaching offer, there's really 3 sales you have to make for someone to buy from you. Number 1, you have to sell them on you, right? You as a person. Who are you? What's your story? What's your personality? What are your morals, your values? What are your beliefs? What are the ideas you believe in? Again, it's fundamental. You have to sell people on working with you before they invest in you, because people buy the coach before they buy the coaching. So that's the first sale you have to make. The second sale you have to make is in the selling people on your mechanisms. That is your methods, right? That is the path you take people through to get them from point A to point B. That is the individual methods and strategies you're using. How is that different, and how do you position yourself as being unique compared to other people in the same industry as you? But it's also your ideas. What do you believe in? Do you believe in sales calls? Do you believe in not having sales calls? Do you believe in keto diet? Do you believe in the carnivore diet? And whatever it might be, ideas are a big part of that as well. So that's the second sale you have to make. The final sale you have to make is then selling people on your offer. Your offer being quite literally how you help people. Is it a coaching program? Is it one-to-one? Is there group? Is there worksheets? Is there an online course? It's the more tangible and kind of tactical stuff as to how you actually help people. And once you sell people on those 3 things, then it's highly likely that you are the person that they buy from. Now, the kind of historical advice is that the best way to sell people on those 3 things is through a sales page or through a sales call. And it's not that these things don't work. Yes, they do. But as the industry becomes much more saturated, as consumers become much more sophisticated, meaning that they have been on sales calls, they've been through the sales pages, times are changing, right? And in terms of how you sell and how you can dominate in your space, the method in terms of how you do that is now very, very different. And so I want you to think about an idea where you can sell without a sales call and without a sales page, and how you can attract people who are already pre-sold on you. And again, very simply, the way you do that is you need to sell people on you and sell people on your mechanism before they even reach out to you. The traditional role of a sales call, even a sales page, is the reason they are called sales calls and sales pages is because they are literally selling to the person reading it. That page, that call is trying to convince someone of those 3 things: you, your mechanisms, and your offer. That was the role of those things. However, when your content's done right, you have the right long form content, the right sales assets, the right content in general, you can do all of that selling for you passively in those assets, in that content. So by the time that someone then reaches out to you, the sale is 95% of the way already done. And the final part, the easiest part of the sale, is then the offer, which can just be sent across on a short 1-page document, very basic, that explains the actual logistics of how someone works with you. So that's how I do it now. All of my selling is done through content like this, through my Instagram, through email, through my other assets that I have. So people reach out to me already sold, right? And so you can sell without sales call, without a sales page, but it's understanding you have to sell people on those 3 things in your content, in your assets. But also the final point on that is also learning how to attract people who are already in motion. And what I mean by that is you don't want to be attracting or trying to convince people that they need to invest in themselves, right? You want to work with people who have already invested in themselves. They're already taken action in one form or another. And by attracting that person, it's much easier to then convert them without a sales call, without a hefty sales page or a massive sales funnel, because that person is already convinced on investing in themselves. They're now simply looking for a solution as opposed to trying to find the motivation to buy in the first place. So now moving on to number 2, popular piece of advice, is that you will make more sales if you sell more offers. Now, this isn't necessarily a black and white, it's right and it's wrong, but I think it's just a wrong way to look at things. It assumes that just because you add a new offer that you're going to make more sales of that particular offer, but it doesn't take into account the complexity of doing that. It doesn't take into account the confusion you can cause in your marketplace by doing that. It doesn't take into account many things. And what I want you to imagine, again, is a reframe on what an offer actually is and what having multiple offers actually looks like. The traditional way of doing it is you have an offer ladder, a product suite, whatever you want to call it. You have a low ticket, let's call it a $50 per month membership. You have a mid ticket, it might be a $200, $500 online course. You have some form of mid to high ticket, $2,000 kind of group coaching program. And then perhaps you have a mini mind, a mastermind, some kind of maybe 10K plus offer. That sort of is your very high ticket offer you're selling. And the idea is that people magically buy one, buy the next, and they ascend through all of these offers. And again, it's not that that can't happen, but it's a very unrealistic way, a very unrealistic view of actually how people purchase, right? And actually how people buy, and experience their businesses, their life, whatever it is that you're helping people with. It's a very unrealistic view that they're just going to buy one thing, buy the next. It's a bit of a dream, right? That people sell to you because it's fancy, it's complex, and we love complex things because it makes us feel like we're building something really good, when in fact we're actually screwing ourselves over with a very complex business model that isn't helping us and it's not helping our consumers to be able to buy from us. So instead of having many offers that you sell in many ways, I like to reframe it as one offer which you sell in many ways. Another way to say it is maybe as one product with many ways you can offer it. And I think that's probably a better way to explain it. So I have one program, and that one program is what I call my universal offer. And it's universal because I can dissect and I can segment this particular offer and I can sell it in many different ways. Now, what it means is that on the surface, it might look like I'm doing a separate workshop. I'm selling a low ticket offer here. I'm selling my higher ticket program, another layer of that program. It might look like that these are different offers, but these are all in fact the same products. They all come from the same core program, but I have segmented them and dissected them in different ways that allows me to sell them as their own individual items. The key thing, however, is it's not, you are not selling those individual offers to different types of people, right? So I mean, as in you're not selling it to a beginner, to an expert, to an intermediate, someone at this stage and this stage. No, you're always selling it to the exact same client, the exact same ideal avatar. The difference is at what stage of the, let's call it a funnel, you are selling that to them. So when a stranger comes into your audience, there is an offer you can make them, right? You can take your universal offer and segment that, and part of that you can offer to a stranger. Someone who opts in for a lead magnet, you can offer them something. Someone who opts in for an impulse offer and purchases a low ticket item from you, there's another offer you can make that person. Very quickly you can see that the different stages that people find themselves at in your funnel, there's 10, 15, probably 20 different stages that actually we can divide it up into. You immediately have 10, 15, 20 different ways to offer that same one product to these people to maximize the efficiency of your selling, right? Without having to make an actual new physical program or offer to be able to do that. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to scale to 7 figures, you must remove yourself from the business. I used to believe this, and I went through a process of doing this. I went through a process of hiring a sales team, having the closer, having the appointment setter, having multiple client success coaches in my program, and actively remove myself as much as possible from the business. But as much as it works, and it did work, and I was hitting 75, 80K cash months, made my first million doing it that way, $1.5 million. The reality is, for me personally, it wasn't sustainable, because yes, I was removing myself from certain parts of the business, but I was actually just giving myself more work in managing the team, in the stress of that, the complexity of having all these moving parts and the systems and the automations and the trainings and the SOPs and all of the behind the scenes work that people never talk about that's involved when it comes to actually removing yourself from the business. Now, as a long-term vision, if you want to remove yourself from the business, you have to go through that process. But I don't see my business, my coaching program, as a business. I call it a creative cash flow, and that just simply means that I'm doing creative work that I enjoy, work that I love, and I'm being paid to do it, right? And that money I earn, I invest that into other things that make me money, real estate, investments, you know, the type of stuff, right? I am building creative cash flow. I'm not trying to build a business that I want to sell or remove myself from. Therefore, how I do things and how I show up fundamentally can be very different to how most people building a traditional business would do things. And so for me, it's all about selling proximity to me, right? And so if you want to work with me, you want to work one-to-one, then you pay the most. If you want to work with me and learn what I teach, but you're not fussed about working with me directly, then you pay less, right? And so the further away you are from me directly, the less you pay. The closer you are to me, the more you pay, because I enjoy coaching. I enjoy doing the work that I do. Hence why I'm keeping myself in the business. And that is the selling point of working with me, is you actually work with me, right? You don't work with a random coach plucked off the street, you know, or someone who's read an ebook and that's about it. You actually work with me directly. But how do you actually make that work at scale? How can you get to millions and be doing one-to-one coaching or group coaching or whatever format it might look like for you? How does it actually work? Well, you have to attract self-led people. You can't be working with people who need hand-holding, who need accountability, who blame everything on you. And so, you know, if you're currently working with that type of person, it's completely understandable why you would want to remove yourself from your business, because working in your business is complete hell. You know, you don't enjoy it. But that's probably not why you're building your business. It's probably not why you got into coaching in the first place, is to just remove yourself from it in the future. You probably got into coaching because compared to the other options of a 9-to-5 job or whatever else it might have been, that's the thing you actually enjoy doing, right? That's the thing you feel creative with, you feel fulfillment with. And so actively trying to remove yourself from it kind of goes against the whole reason why you perhaps started this business in the first place. And so that's number 3. I want a quick reminder with that, 60 to 80 active clients per month is your $1 million business. You know, so it's actually not that many clients you need to get in kind of retrospect, right? In comparison to how other people do it. It's not that many people. Okay, number 4, I had to reset because my camera died. But number 4, you must create content to grow, to nurture, and to convert. This is a piece of advice that I used to 100% agree with, and I also used to teach, right? And again, this is advice that is not inherently wrong. It is advice that works. It is advice that does get you results. But again, it's outdated, if we're being honest, in terms of what that actually means and what it suggests. It's a very outdated approach, at least in my opinion. I'll explain what I mean. So the idea of making content to attract, nurture, convert, it essentially follows the idea of a typical funnel, right? It assumes the idea that you attract people who are completely unaware of what you do, completely unaware of maybe the problem you solve or the problem that they have. And it suggests that your content is going to take someone from completely unaware and it's going to nurture them to the point where they are aware of their problem, they're aware that you can solve it, they're aware that you have a solution for it, and that they see you as the option and the only person they want to buy from. And lo and behold, they then buy from you, right? Now, number 1, that actual process of nurturing someone in that way takes months. You know, it's like this idea that someone can go from, you know, completely unaware of something to then fully aware and wanting to buy from you in days with that way of doing things is ridiculous, right? Because of you're attracting someone at a completely different stage, a beginner stage of their journey in terms of the thing you're teaching. So number 1, that's one reason why it doesn't work. The other problem you have is that when you create content in this way, your attract content attracts, well, who do you think it attracts? It's typically general content. It's content designed to go viral. So who does it attract? Well, it attracts people who are generic, people who are freebie seekers, people who follow you for your content and don't follow you because they are interested in working with you. It attracts people who say, you know, your content's amazing, but I'll never buy from you. And that's not, again, the type of people you want to be attracting if you're trying to scale a coaching business, right? It's actually making lots of money and making possibly millions. That's not the people you want to be bringing to your page. Nurture content just kind of doesn't really then do anything for you. Yes, it nurtures some people, it's turned some people away, doesn't do anything for others. It's just kind of a meh. It's in the middle there, it doesn't really do much for you. Then your convert content, typically then, It gets zero engagement. It's made for the 1% of people who are ready to buy and doesn't really impact or relate to anyone else actually in your audience. So again, it doesn't really serve a purpose. So what's the solution, or at least what's the alternative to this? Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the content strategy, exactly what you post and how you post it. That'd be another video and sort of thing I teach anyway. But I want you to understand the idea of attracting someone at a different stage of awareness. Now, I'm not going to put up on screen, so I don't edit these videos, but you can look it up. The 5 stage, I think it's 5 or 6 stages of customer awareness, right? And you have unaware, and it moves all the way through to problem aware, solution aware. I can't even remember what's on there, right? But it's stages of awareness. And so what everyone's doing when they're creating attract, nurture, convert content is they're making content, as I said, to go from unaware all the way through to the other end of that spectrum. But the way I see it is that everyone else in your industry on Instagram making content is doing that for you anyway, right? If other people are making the content that takes someone from unaware to aware of their problem, why do you need to do it? Because it's the same problem, right, that you need to make them aware of. Maybe it's a very similar solution. So why are you spending your time and energy trying to attract a completely unaware person, someone who is not a buyer, someone who's looking for free stuff, someone who's not even interested in investing in themselves right now? Why are you wasting your time and energy making content for that person when there are hundreds or thousands of other creators on Instagram already doing that for you, right? So you're doing all this legwork when you don't need to, because it's already being done. So you're wasting time on content that actually has no real impact for you. So instead, you turn your content strategy from trying to take someone from unaware to buying from you to people who are already problem aware. People, I think it's about stage 3 or 2 or 3 on that diagram. I think it's 3. You attract people who already know they have a problem. They already know that they have a problem, the problem you solve. They're already looking for a solution. They're already actively trying to fix that problem. And there are many, many of those people out there. And again, if you're trying to build $1 million coaching business, you need 60 to 80 clients. Or suddenly it starts to click. Okay, maybe I don't need to be going viral. Maybe I don't need to be trying to attract every random Tom, Dick and Harry to my page, because actually 60 to 80 clients across a year, if you think about retention, stuff like that, it's like 5 clients a month, right, that you'd have to get, right, to then be able to hit that. So you can hit that within a year quite easily, $1 million run rate of your business, if you learn how to attract people who are already problem aware and stop focusing on trying to convince the unconvincible, right? And you save a ton of energy, have much more impactful content doing it that way. The final point, number 5, so we can wrap this up, is that you must create value content to, give value, right, and demonstrate your knowledge. And this is very, very linked to point number 4. But my first question is, what is value, right? Because value for me in certain subjects might not be value for you, and value for you in certain subjects might not be value for me. Everyone's perception of what is valuable for them at any given time is very different. And again, the person who is actively looking for a solution, the person who is problem aware, value for them is not necessarily another tactic, another strategy, another how-to. The fact they're in that situation of looking for a solution, they've most likely already gone through all the tactics, all the strategies, all of the solutions that they have tried, and they've had no success. So you always saying, here's what to do, here's the value, here's the tip, here's the how-to. Well, that's simply, so my camera just died for a 3rd time because it overheated. So I need to wrap this up quick because it's going to die again. I know it will. Your goal is not to give value in the sense of here's how to do X, Y, and Z. Because all it ever does is it attracts freebie seekers. It attracts people who want the next strategy, the next tactic, the next hack, the next quick win. Instead, your goal is shifting perspective. It's shifting the way that someone thinks about a problem. If you can get someone to think about a problem in the way you think about it, and then you are the person who provides a solution to solve it in that particular way, then again, they buy from you. High-level buyers, if you're selling high ticket, they don't just want to get to the goal, right? They of course want to get to the goal, but they want a very specific way to get to the goal. And that also means shifting the perspective on how they think about it. Or maybe they've already shifted their perspective on how they think about it, and they're looking for a different way. Fundamentally, being able to change how people think, being able to shift a perspective on a hot topic, of popular advice, just like I'm doing in this video, by being able to answer questions in that way, that demonstrates authority. I have not told you in this video, here's how to do this, here's the exact strategy. By simply explaining my thought process around it, and my opinions and my beliefs, and shifting your beliefs as well, that positions me as an authority, because I cannot speak on this subject with confidence as I am if I have not been through this subject, if I have not helped people through these things already. And so by simple kind of perception in that sense, you understand and see that I have value and I am giving value. The best value you can give someone is not giving them the answer, it's helping them to find the answer themselves, see the answer, to have that aha moment, to have that light bulb moment, to have that moment of, I never thought about it that way. That's the value that pushes people to buy from you, right? And it's not to say that that value is necessarily more valuable than tactical value, but it is a value that pushes people to buy. And that has been proven time and time again. And so that is what you have to focus on, showing your way, shifting perspectives, demonstrating rather than trying to convince people. That's the type of value content you should be creating, as opposed to tactical educational stuff all the time. Okay, guys? So look, that wraps up today's video.